Hey guys, we are back with some more New Jersey Devils franchise mode, and in this one, we are going to finish off year number 1. But before we do that, we do have a trade to make, and we are going to be trading with the Vancouver Canucks. They are currently, as we take a look here, 15, 37, and 5. They're nowhere near the playoffs. So they're selling off all of their vets, and we are going to be trying to acquire Christopher Tanev. He's got 1 year left on his deal with a $4.4 million salary for the next year. Well, obviously for 1 more year. And if we take a look at his Pro Scout assessment, there's 3 bars there, so this is fairly accurate. He fits into all of our defensive pairings, all of our power play, and all of our penalty kill lines. And if that's true, then that will not only help our defense, but it'll help out our line chemistry, which is obviously pretty huge in this game. As we saw in the last episode when we mixed around our lines a little bit, put Bratt, Zacha, and Wood on the same line, and then Zacha started to really benefit, at least in terms of his overall growth. So who are we going to be sending back the other way? A couple of defensemen in Nikita Okachuk. He's 19 years of age, 63 overall. He's not too close to the NHL, about 3 or 4 years away, and we need some help right now to get ourselves back into the playoff race, because this team has it in us. I know we do. We need that little extra boost, and I feel like Tanev gives us that defensively. And the other one going the other way will be Connor Carrick, because we kind of need to send someone back from our NHL roster going the other way in order to not have anybody on waivers. And he just, he's okay, but he doesn't impress me. So, and he's a 78 overall, so we're getting rid of Carrick, a 78, and Okachuk, a 63, with that low top 4 defenseman. Potential for an already 83 overall Christopher Tanev. Now, obviously, he's not going to get any better, but what he does do is he helps us out for this season, and he helps us hopefully get into the playoffs and beyond. So, proposed trade, Okachuk and Carrick trade rejected. So, let's add in a sweetener here. And unfortunately, we don't have too many sweeteners as far as extra assets go. We only have, all the assets that we have are guys who we desperately need to keep for this season. Hughes keeping no matter what. Subban keeping. Hall keeping. Nico keeping. Smith keeping. Gusev keeping. Severson, Butcher. We're keeping both of those guys. Vatanen, I wouldn't be opposed to trading because he only has 1 year left on his deal and he doesn't want to re-sign. So if the right deal comes along for Vatanen, then I might try to move him. But the thing is, Vancouver's obviously a rebuilder at this point. They don't want to take on Vatanen. I'm not going to make them take on Vatanen, especially in exchange for Tanev. That really doesn't make sense. They're both righties. They're both 83 overall. It doesn't make too much sense for the Vancouver Canucks. And as far as we go, we're looking to make the playoffs. Why would we want to trade Vatanen for Tanev? They're effectively the same player. Besides, of course, their player type. Vatanen is an offensive defenseman. He, of course, gets the offense, but we don't want to trade away the offense just to get more defense. We want to have both. And Jesper Bratt not trading. Paul Mary not trading. Vukovic, I am not trading him. He's already a 73 overall at 18 years of age. He is going nowhere. Boquist is injured, unfortunately, and looks like he's dropped down to a 72. I'm not sure how that happened. Maybe it's because of his multiple injuries that he's had this season. But still, he's not going anywhere. Riley Walsh not going anywhere. Mike McLeod, we might be able to trade him. But for right now, I want to hold on to him. I'd rather not give him up in this deal. Miles Wood, not giving him up. Zacha, not giving him up. And then it goes down to Okachuk, Mueller, and everyone after that. Not too much value. So you can see that we don't really have too many extra pieces, too much extra value. So we need to give up a pick here. I would guess. I'm not going to give up a third. I'm going to try not to give up a third because, again, we don't have one this year. And we don't have a second for this year or next year either. So I would really prefer to hold on to that third there. So we're going to get rid of Boston's fourth. Let's see if they'll take Okachuk, Carrick, and a fourth for Tanev. Proposed trade. That'll be rejected as well. They could live with what we are sending them, but not in this deal. I wouldn't be opposed to sending Graham Clark the other way in this deal as well, because he's only got that medium top 9, 61 overall. He's not really having the greatest season with the Ottawa 67s, and it's definitely not bad, but he's still got a long way to go before the NHL, and we're trying to make the playoffs this season, so we'll send them a forward in Graham Clark. So Okachuk, Carrick, and Clark for Tanev. That won't work either, and we're quite far off. Ooh, okay. So here might be where we end up trading McLeod. I know I said I didn't want to trade him right now, but I wouldn't be opposed to it, especially since McLeod adds quite a bit of value, you know? He's already 22. That means he's going to be 23 at the start of next year. I don't see McLeod fitting in. And even if he does grow, he's probably going to be 24, 25 by the time he cracks our lineup. Yeah, I think this will work. Carrick and McLeod for Tanev. I want to see if I could actually try to get a draft pick in there, because I'm pretty sure that will work. We're going to get a fourth in there. Actually, not for this year, for next year. I just want to make sure that we get something else out of this in case we have to end up releasing Tanev to free agency. Proposed trade, that'll be rejected. Sweeten the value just a touch, though, so we're pretty much right there. We'll get a fifth for next year, then. Will they do that? Proposed trade? They will. On behalf of the Vancouver Canucks organization, I accept your trade offer. We will see you out on the ice. So, Carrick and McLeod for Tanev and a fifth for next year's draft. That works out for me. And we have more depth on defense because of that, and we didn't really have to give up much other than Carrick and an AHL forward who isn't too likely to make our NHL roster, let's be honest. So, line errors, let's go in there and edit the lines. And that would obviously be for our defensive core. And Mueller, you're getting a new defensive partner in Chris Tanev. Welcome to the New Jersey Devils. And unfortunately, he doesn't add a whole lot of chemistry to that third pair. So let's see if we can... Okay, so he does add chemistry with Vatanen, but then that bumps Severson down to the top 6, unfortunately. So I guess... Is Severson on the power play? No, Severson is not on the power play. So maybe we get Severson on the power play to make up for some lost time there. I don't want to take Vatanen off, though. I don't want to take Butcher off. The thing is, I don't want to take any of these guys off. What about the penalty kill? Can we take... Severson's already getting top line time there. I also don't want to mess up the chemistry that second line power play has. It's at a +3 right now. What if I take off... Again, I don't really want to take off Butcher, but... It's in order to get Severson some more time, and he does maintain that +1. So we'll see what Severson can do on the power play, and we'll get him on here as well. And good. Look at our penalty kill lines now. Both of our penalty kill lines are now at +3. And I did get Nico Hischier in there on the second line power play, so that, or second line penalty kill, so that might be what's helping it out. But, you know, Tanev obviously isn't hurting it either, because he's maintaining that +3 on the penalty kill. So that's an absolutely huge addition for us. And I think that'll really help us getting into the playoffs, because if we take a look at... What am I doing? As we take a look at Andy Green, he played 48 games. He only had 15 hits. So at this point in his career, he is hurting us more than he's helping us. So he's going to be a healthy scratch, I would guess, for the rest of the season. So he may have played his last game as a Devil already. Maybe we'll get him in there for game 82 if we're in the playoffs already at that point. But we need our best skaters possible out on the ice at all times. So that is why we traded for Tanev. He brings another level of defense that we did need. So we're going to go ahead with this forward group. I'm liking the way the forward group looks. I'm liking the way the defense looks now as well. With that depth that we have. I mean, that's a lot of depth on defense. Obviously, Mueller isn't the greatest, but, you know, other than Mueller, this is looking like a pretty solid defensive core. And really the main concern here is goaltending. If Schneider and Blackwood can get it going in the second half of the season, especially Schneider, then we might actually have a pretty solid chance at making the playoffs. Now, the Binghamton Devils, of course, with McLeod being traded, we'll get Bastian on the third line, or will we? Because we have to worry about line chemistry. So Blake Spears, get in there. So now with our new and improved defensive core, let's simulate ahead to the trade deadline and see what the simulation will bring us. So game against Detroit, we have a 7-5 loss. That's not a good showing for our first game with our supposed new and improved defense, and he had a solid win there against Carolina. And we have a trade, Eberle back to the Oilers for a second and Ethan Bear. And we have been losing quite a few games. Yeah, we've been losing quite a few games since that trade. Oh my, we actually only have one win. That's not good. Oh man, what a trade here. To the Islanders, a first, Sandin, Janssen, and Bouthillier? Not even gonna try with that one. And then to Toronto will be Brassard, Marleau going back to Toronto, and 2/3. Another trade to Winnipeg will be Mikko Koivu and a third. So Mikko Koivu, his tenure in Minnesota is over. For Sami Niku, a second and a third. That first line has been dangerously quiet as of late. Taylor Hall is now below a point per game at 58 points in 61 games. Nico at 45 points in 61. And Gusev has only had 1 point in that entire simulation that we just did. So we got to change something up with that first line. I'm going to try switching Hughes and Nico because, again, something's got to get going with that first line. So we're going to hope that these lines of Hall, Hughes, and Gusev, and then Simmons, Hischier, and Palmieri can get it done, because that first line of, that initial first line anyway, of Hall, Hischier, and Gusev was not working out in the past probably month of simulating. So before we get back into the calendar here, we are going to go into the draft class to, well, not the draft class, but the assigned scout screen, so that we can scout more prospects, of course. And a good way that I like to scout prospects is just first, of course, by looking at their stats, so that I know what overall they could be. So we're going to take a look at Nabokov. I'd say Turkov. Yeah, Turkov for sure as well, because he's got 3 goals, 6 assists in an A+ league. 9 goals, 6 assists for Nabokov. Lars Janssen, he's supposed to go 7th overall. I don't think we'll get him, but we'll scout him anyway, just in case we happen to fall out of the playoffs and we happen to get a lottery pick for some reason. Anton Lundell, he looks pretty solid as well. Again, 10th overall ranking, doubtful we'll get him, but you never know what could happen. So the scouts have been sent out. We made our trade. Let's go past the trade deadline. There's not much else we can do, because there's really not much else value that we have. So we really just have to go through with this lineup and just hope for the best, I suppose. And if we have to make any changes to the lineup, we'll edit the lines. But as of right now, we have our best line chemistry possible. So I want to leave it that way for as long as we can. Jesper Boquist is fully healed. Definitely have to get him back in. Hopefully he is better than a 72 at this point. All right, good. He's a 73. He went back up there a little bit, but unfortunately he started as a 74, so he did go down a little bit. Hopefully that injury didn't hurt his development too much. We'll get him on the power play as well. It looks like he was already inserted on there. We'll get him in his natural position, though. So we had a 3-2 loss against the Red Wings on the trade deadline. Chris Tanev's been injured. You hate to see it, but he'll be back very soon. So we'll just, honestly, I think we might be able to replace player, but I'm not entirely sure who our backup defenseman is. I think it's Green, isn't it? Yeah, it's Green. So we're going to get Green in there, and I'll just leave Green right there with Vatanen, since he'll be back within like a week. So a loss against the Ducks, a loss against the Golden Knights. What is happening here? Oh my goodness. This is not looking good. This is really not looking good. We had 2 wins against the Blues and the Rangers, but those are 2 of our only wins that I can recall as of recent. There's a win against Pittsburgh, loss against Carolina, a loss against Florida. You hate to see it. A win against Tampa. So we're very inconsistent here. A loss against Toronto, win against Calgary, and against the Islanders we have a win. All right, so we're starting to win a little bit more now. But if you take a look back here, I mean, we just loss, win, loss, overtime loss, win, loss, win, and then win, loss, win. So it's just been so back and forth, and there's unfortunately not much we could do about it now, given that we are past the trade deadline. But the good news is that we're right there with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, they have a game in hand, but we can still catch them. It's very much possible. Now, what is What is Jack Hughes in the first line doing? So Jack Hughes is actually up to an 84 now. I don't know if that's from playing on the first line with Gusev and Hall, but he's growing all of a sudden. Nico with 56 points. Palmieri has 49. About Subban. 59, I believe. Yeah, he's been solid. Yeah, it's really been goaltending that's been killing us all season. Schneider with a 903, Blackwood with an 889. It's just rough. It is rough goaltending-wise here in New Jersey, and we're going to have to hope that one or both of them is able to turn it on in the last 7 games of the season and hopefully going into the playoffs, because this is just... It's going to be a tight race with the Penguins till the end. And luckily, we have an absolutely terrible division. But the thing is, the Capitals, the Hurricanes, and the Blue Jackets are all right behind us. This is an absolutely huge game against the Columbus Blue Jackets right here. And if we lose this, then we might be out of the playoffs. I got some news for you. We may very well be out of the playoffs if we lose this. Don't lose it, my boys. First period, there you go. Wood and Hughes on Merzlikins. Second period, there you go. Nico on Merzlikins as well. Third period, oh, okay. So I didn't realize the Blue Jackets had a red color as well in the simulation. Murray and Jones with the goals on Schneider, but Nico with the insurance marker on Merzlikins for the 4-2 win. That's what you like to see. 3 stars of the game. Simmons, Schneider, and Nico. Ooh, absolutely huge game against Pittsburgh coming up within a week. That is a huge game. That is basically going to decide our playoff hopes. A shootout loss against Minnesota. Would have preferred the win at, that's a rough loss against Philly, but at least we had a win against Carolina, who we are competing with for a spot. It's not likely. Where's the wild card at? Yeah, it's not likely. We have to win all 3 games here. And especially in regulation against the Penguins. Biggest game of the season. If we even give them a point, we're out. I can almost guarantee it. First period, there you go. PK Subban on DeSmith. Second period, alright, I'll take it. Gensel on Blackwood, but then Hall on DeSmith. Third period, yes, boys. Hall and Severson on DeSmith. And we win 4-1. Alright, so I think we're still in this thing as long as and another thing that needs to happen, Pittsburgh cannot win any more games. And it wouldn't surprise me if they already have. So we may actually already be out of it. Let's see. No, they haven't won anything yet since that last game. So we're going to take this one game at a time here. Buffalo, they're a really good team. 48 wins doesn't come easily. So first period, I was going to be a goal by Sabotka on Schneider. Second period, oh my goodness, you hate to see it. Eichel and Ristolainen on Schneider, and then Hall and Hutton. It's not looking good. Third period, you hate to see it. Nico with the goal on Hutton, and then Okposo and Eichel with the goals on Schneider. And that'll be it for our playoff hopes. Yeah, you hate to see it. So we're at the end of the regular season. Let's go over the stats. And we're going to have to figure out what we're doing in the offseason because whatever we did this season, it didn't work. And I have a feeling we're going to check goaltenders first. Yeah, it was goaltenders for sure. This was basically their save percentages all season. Schneider with a 903, Blackwood with an 892. You just hate to see it. That's rough. That's very rough. And on defense, PK Subban with 66 points. He did his job, earning that $9 million. Vatanen with 29, Severson with 26, Butcher with 25, Tanev with 15. How many of those came from our team? That would be 4 points. So I'm glad you could finally sort by, that they show you the stats by team now. And Mueller with 12 points and Green with 9. Now, what about shots? Subban obviously leads with 207. Butcher with 138. Vatanen and Severson really don't shoot the puck, so we might have to keep them separated. in the future. Takeaways to giveaways. Severson was good. Butcher was good. Subban could have been a bit better. Tanev could have been better. Vatanen was great, actually 28-34. Would like to bring him back if possible. Mueller and Green were pretty rough. Forwards, Hall with 79. Gusev with 77 points. Hischier with 63. Hughes with 62 in his first season. And he, of course, got moved up to the first line after a little bit since the original first line wasn't producing during the month of February, I believe it was. In January, maybe even. Palmieri with 55. Bratt with 47. Simmons with 41. Wood with 37. Zacha with 28. Coleman with 24. Zajac with 22. Anderson with 18. Hayden with 3. As far as shots go, Gusev with 326. That is ridiculous. And physically, Simmons with 152 hits. Hall with 146. Palmieri 142. Zacha 116. Wood 112. 83 for Coleman. 78 for Zajac. 55 for Hischier. 42 for Bratt. 37 for Hughes. 37 for Gusev. 21 for Hayden. 19 for Anderson. And the takeaways to giveaways, Nico, Palmieri, Hall, Bratt, Hughes, Simmons, Gusev, Wood, Zajac, Coleman. Fantastic. Zacha could have been a bit better, 30-32, 19-21 for Anderson, and 15-15 for Hayden. But for the most part, our forwards are excellent defensively. Now what we're going to do, since it is year number 1, we're going to take a look at the entire league, because I'm really interested to see how chemistry might have affected the scoring of other teams. So there were no 100-point scorers in the NHL this year. The closest was David Pastrnak with 99 points out of 90 overall. Crosby with 97, Sagan with 92, Wheeler with 90, McKinnon with 88, Marchand, Kane, Gaudreau, Drouin, all with 87, Ovi, Eichel, Stamkos, all with 86, Bergeron with 85, McDavid with 84, Domi with 83, Radulov with 83, Reinhart with 83, Marner with 82, Stone with 82, Monahan with 82, Kucherov with 81, Gino with 81, Giroux with 81, Barkov with 81, Scheifele with 79, Hall with 79, Tatar was 79. Wow. So that must have been a really good line that he was on there as far as line chemistry goes. Marchessault was 78, Kessel was 78, Gensel was 78, Gusev was 77, O'Reilly was 77, Kuznetsov also was 77, Carlson was 76. So I guess there weren't any real standouts other than the guys at the very top, but there was a lot of guys who were very, very close together in terms of the amount of points that they got, right? So interesting how the NHL shaped up this year for sure. And as far as goals go, Sagan won the Richard Trophy. Assists, Pastrnak had 73, the most in the league. Plus minus, Pastrnak plus 39. The most shots was, of course, Ovi, and then Gusev was second in the league. So that is absolutely ridiculous. Who had the most hits? That would be Marchand, Kopitar, O'Reilly, Hyman, Meyer, Taves, Subban. The most amount of takeaways, O'Reilly. That makes sense. McDavid, Krejci, Matthews, Kane, Bergeron, Crosby, Taves, Mark Stone. And the best goalies in the league, Saros with a 924, Hutton with a 922, Koskinen with a 921. So there weren't any truly elite goaltenders in the NHL this year as far as, above, let's say a 925 goes, or even above a 930. There was no one above a 924. So I guess that shows how spread out the scoring was in the NHL this year. But we definitely need to improve in goal for sure, because again, Schneider, nowhere on this list. He's way down there. I mean, he is all the way. I'm not even sure what place this is, but he's below a lot of backup goaltenders. And then as we take a look for Blackwood, he's even further down. Yeah, Blackwood's right here below Lundqvist. Even Lundqvist had an 896. That is brutal for an 88 overall. So we got to figure out something for goaltending. That is just not good. Team stats, let's see. where we are to finish the season. Goals for per game. So we were scoring goals. It was definitely our either defense or our goaltending. That was the problem. And I honestly think it's goaltending. And power play definitely dried up towards the end of the year. 18.5. And a penalty kill dried up slightly as well. 83.3. Now in our last 10, we were 6-3-1. So we made a good effort at the end of the season, but we dropped way too many games. And it was just too late at that point. So it was definitely an unfortunate season for your New Jersey Devils. And if there was any year for us to take advantage of a weak division, this would have been the year. Because we take a look at the Metropolitan, the Islanders 99 points, Flyers with 93, the Penguins with 91, and then we had 88. We had 88 and we were in 4th in our division. The Capitals with 85, the Blue Jackets with 83, the Hurricanes with 80, and the Rangers with 78. This was the year to take advantage, and we couldn't. Yeah, so we still clearly have some work to do here in New Jersey. Let me know what we should do. And I'll see you guys in the next one when we head up to the year 1 off season.